Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Larry Frank Sports Unfiltered. And you got to ask yourself about the Tennessee Titans. During the offseason, a lot of stuff happened. They did this, they did that, and so on. And everybody is so excited. This fan base is just unbelievably excited. And the only thing I can say is I try to find out what is the reason? What is the reason why these people are so excited? I do not understand. Now, they're all excited about Cam Ward. Cam Ward, who was a rookie last year, made some okay plays. But, when Cam Ward was actually drafted, I was not a big fan of him being drafted. I didn't think he was a number one pick, and I didn't think the Tennessee Titans should have picked him. Now, this year, the Tennessee Titans went ahead and got Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And you know what? I agreed 100% with that pick. That's what they needed to do. But when I look at the excitement over Cam Ward, and we're going to start with Cam Ward first. Why are you excited? What has Cam Ward done that is so special? The reason why people are so excited about Cam Ward, because there is a passion for Cam Ward. There wasn't a passion for Will Levis. Will Levis kind of lost the fan base when he didn't do as well. But the big difference between Will Levis and Cam Ward is Cam Ward had a hell of a lot better offensive line than Will Levis did. But when you look at Will Levis and you compare Cam Ward to Will Levis, which we'll do in 1 minute, you'll see that there wasn't or isn't much of a difference. In many ways, Will Levis was actually better. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you all that Will Levis should start over Cam Ward, which we'll go into in a minute, but I will tell you there is so many differences in the two, but I'll tell you what, Cam Ward is never going to be a franchise quarterback. He's not. Jared Stillman, a very popular sports radio host here in Nashville, Tennessee, actually on his show was saying that Cam Ward is a bust. Now, as far as being a bust, I don't know if we can tell that yet. I'm not saying that Jared's wrong, because actually I agree with Jared that Cam Ward is not the quarterback of the future for this team. Now, look at this, guys. When we break down the comparison between Cam Ward and Will Levis, okay, look at these numbers. And what I see here is they were actually better with Will Levis than Cam Ward at quarterback with a worse offensive line. Sure, 7 interceptions last year for Ward. You can go ahead and compare these numbers for those of you that are on radio. I'll read them to you. Touchdowns versus interceptions. Ward, 16, and he had 7 interceptions. Levis, 21, touchdowns, 16. Now, interceptions. Remember, Levis has played in 21 games he started, and Cam Ward has started in 17. So there is a 4-game difference. Yards versus 9.8 yards. That's all that that Cam Ward is averaging for completion. One of the worst, and I believe it is the worst in the NFL last year. Meanwhile, Will Levis in the 21 games has averaged 11 versus completion. Then you look at yards passing over 20 yards completion. 8.1% of the balls that Cam Ward has thrown over 20 yards were completed versus Will Levis, who has completed 33% of the 20-plus yard passes. Will Levis has a strong arm. See, if Will Levis can go ahead and somebody can take him under his wing, he had a terrible coaching staff. He was under after Vrabel left. I know he was with Vrabel part of it, but then Callahan just really screwed things up. But if Will Levis can learn to read progressions correctly, and maybe Brian Dable can help him with this by getting him in the film room, getting him more repetitions, and simplifying some of this offense, Will Levis has potential to be a very good, solid quarterback in the NFL. Meanwhile, completion percentage, Ward is 59.8, 61% for Levis. So when we compare these two, and we compare them, everybody is on this Cam Ward, bandwagon, And you know what? Will Levis, now we don't know how his arm's going to be. And I'm not saying that Will Levis should be the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, but I really honestly believe that in the long run, Will Levis has actually a better chance of being a quarterback in the NFL or being successful in the NFL than I do Cam Ward. Now, once again, only time will tell. But if you put Levis under the right coaches, look what happened to Malik Willis. Malik Willis went to Green Bay under a great coach, Matt LaFleur, learned and learned and learned with Love over there, Jordan Love. And when he had to be called on in 2 games, he did unbelievable, beating the Titans, which I know that's not saying much, but beating the Titans and really whooping up the yardage and playing an unbelievable game. And now he's the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins with a hefty contract. So you can see what good coaching to a young quarterback can do. And that's what they're relying on Brian Dable to do. But I think when they look at Cam Ward, and they say this is our franchise, and I don't know what they're seeing yet. I know Jared was saying in OTAs, he had been to OTAs, he wasn't looking great, very inconsistent, and I know Will Levis probably wasn't looking good either, but all I'm saying is what you have in place now is actually no different than you had when Will Levis was the quarterback, except Levis had a better long distance arm. That's number one. Number two, we hired Robertr Saleh. And everyone's excited about Robertr Saleh. Great guy, great demeanor. I'll be okay. Plays a very aggressive style of defense and is an unbelievable defensive coordinator. But I ask you the question, why are you so excited about him as a head coach? Can understand from a defensive standpoint, but when you look at Robertr Saleh, you're excited about a coach that has a 20-36 record. He took over the Jets 2021, went 4-13 after the Jets only won 2 games the year before, missed the playoffs, with 4th in the AFC. 2022 and 23 goes 7-10, 4th place again, 3rd respectively. Missed the playoffs in both those years. And then in 2024, he was fired after week 5. So he has a 20-36 record. He had 4 seasons, technically 3 and a third seasons with the Jets. He did improve them, like I said, from 2-14 to 4-13 in his first season, back-to-back 7-10 seasons, built one of NFL's top defense, which we know he is good defensively. But he finished his Jets tenure with a 20-36 record before being dismissed in 2024. Why are we excited about him as the head coach? Now, I'm not going to sit here either and tell you that I don't think Robertr Saleh is going to do a good job. But a lot of people make too many excuses in Tennessee. Well, he was with a shit show in New York. Look at the Jets organization. Well, I got news for you. He's not getting a pot of gold here in Tennessee either. This isn't a great organization. I mean, I like Mike Muganzi. I think he can do a terrific job if he's allowed, which it looks like they are going to allow him. But before you get excited, the proof needs to be in the pudding. You need to see results. A 20-36 coach doesn't excite me. What excites me is if he can turn this defense into a great defense and utilize Gus Bradley as his coordinator and then Brian Dable on the offensive side to do their job, then you have an opportunity to be successful. Remember, the best coordinators are not always the best coaches. There's a lot of people that fail. I think the main difference here is Saleh has called defensive plays in the past. Not a huge fan of coaches calling defensive plays or offensive plays. We saw what happened with Callahan. But at the end of the day, he's done it before, so he is experienced. But before we get excited, like I said, we need to see results. I don't know if Robertr Saleh is going to be a great head coach. If I'm going off past history, it doesn't look great. Cam Ward, I never thought he was going to be a great quarterback. I want him to do well because of the Titans, but that doesn't mean because I want him to be great, he's going to be great. Cam Ward has lots of issues that he needs to work on. And the first one's going to be understanding Brian Dable's system. It's a new system, just like it is for Will Levis, just like it is for Mitch Trubinsky. But I will tell you, it's going to be unfortunate when you see Will Levis leave before the start of the season and either get traded or picked up by another team and turn into another Malik Willis. This is Larry Frank. Larry